I jingle more than the change in your pocket, El Profe Nito. And to my left, we have
Janet Torres Garcia, Financial Empowerment Coordinator here at El Centro de la Raza.
And Denisa and Janet, Housing Counselor with El Centro de la Raza, also working in financial empowerment.
So guys, it's been a while. Freddie, Hollywood, and yeah.
And welcome to another episode of Molcajete Flowers. Today we have our guests speak a bit about what they do, how they participate with El Centro, and yeah, a little bit about what y'all do, and then we could go from questions from there.
And thank you so much for having us here, and excited to share the knowledge that we have with you guys and the community, the listeners that we have out there. So thank you.
Yes, thanks for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to just getting into it.
Thank you. A little bit about your program. What is it you do with the community, for the community?
So as Denisa mentioned, we are HUD certified housing counselors. And so any family that is in need or would like to know more about any particular topic in housing and finances, they're more than welcome to come and speak to either of us. So we cover rental, homelessness, mortgage delinquency, and pre-purchase. Those are kind of like our main focuses, and we provide families with not just resources, but also with financial knowledge of like, how do we create a budget? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And put it in paper, because a lot of our community just does the mental budgeting, which we easily can overspend and get into trouble.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Especially when we have, this marketing out there for, consumerism, but it's like, we need to decide on what we really need and what our, make that difference on what our wants and our needs are. And when we find ourselves in a financial difficult situation, it can really, take a toll on us, not just financially, but mentally, and just knowing where we can gather or get these resources. Because I feel like a lot of our community is afraid to ask for help and know where to go and ask for, this sort of help. So we're here to help them, guide them through really this particular situation, but also give them those skills that they can take with them and implement them in their daily life, and then just encourage that conversation also with their kids. And so I feel like we're housing counselors, but again, it's more than that, at a deeper level. And then I'll go ahead and Denisa add her part as well.
So recently I've been working particularly with rental assistance. That's because there's been a great demand, as we all may know, during the COVID. There's been a lot of regulation as far as the tenants the landlords not being able to proceed with evictions. So many people lost their jobs. They couldn't pay their rent and mortgage as well. And so we basically have been working on a big projects that have been coming out as a result of the COVID-19. So I've been working with a housing stability project, and generally, though, like I mentioned, El Centro has gotten more rental assistance need than it was for the mortgage, at least in the past few months. So as part of that, basically, I would go ahead and sit down with a client, see what their circumstances were. And so oftentimes these are families, right, that fell behind on their rent because of a loss of a job, just a lot of instability in their financial lives, and that just escalated and made them fall behind and even get like eviction notices. So basically what I would do is in the session, would go ahead and create an action plan. But like Janet mentioned too, since we do more, it's important for us to also review their budget, review what does their finances look like, what do they look like, and just kind of discuss with them too on like how they can adjust, especially when they're in a crisis, right? They're like, okay, you're behind on your rent for I don't know how many months, and it's important to help them see what is it that can be adjusted, how should they spend their money, and just kind of learn to prioritize. Sometimes you can see there will be other things they would spend their money on, and then they wouldn't pay the rent. So it really just kind of it's having you look at like the full picture and trying to identify, okay, where is this client struggling? What feedback can I give that would help them? But then also I was working at the same time with the rental assistance program. So while I was doing the calls, the initial one-on-one session, I was to bringing up the resources that exist. But our goal is bigger as housing counselors, right? It's to look at the full picture and help them kind of sustain themselves in their housing long term. So I didn't want to just jump in straight and look at rental assistance, because there's just so many other things that like you realize fall into like a housing instability. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on. So there's definitely a lot I could say on that, but happy to dive in as if you guys have more questions, and can go ahead and ask.
Yeah, so we have Freddie here, who's been kind of posting some ideas of purchasing a home and been looking into buying one. So right before even seeing his own finances, like where should or Freddie?
What do you guys think I should do? Like, what's the best plan for me?
Best plan for you is education on that home buying process. Because once you know what's in that home buying process, you will be able to better make those educated decisions. And you'll know what's best for you. And there's a lot of programs and down payment assistance programs, and also some grants that you can get that will help with the closing costs. Nobody talks about those closing costs. They can be pretty hefty.
What are those? And what is that? What is that?
So closing costs include, but not be limited to, the following. So it's administrative fees. It's also appraisal fees, documentation fees, title fees, all that paperwork that goes into the home buying process. And it could take a toll. It's a percentage on the cost of your home. So there's no flat rate or flat fee. So it depends on the housing market. Also, if you're a real estate agent, can negotiate those and put them in your loan, meaning like you'll give the home buyer or the seller more money for their home, but in there you're including those closing costs. So in exchange, you see what I'm saying? Because you can't get a second loan and get your closing costs. Like it's very particular. So that's why I say education is key to the home buying process. We at Centro offer home buying education. So it's a 5-hour class. It's a one-time sitting. It is 100% in Spanish. But if you're looking at homebuyer education in English, I can definitely, let you know where you can get that education for free. Most of this home buying education is free, especially if it's sponsored by the Washington State Housing Finance Commission. And that's where you get your 2-year certificate. So that education, you get a certificate stating you got that education on the home buying process. And most of the commission programs, it's a requirement to have that education piece. Yes. It's important for them so you don't get into those situations as in like default. And if you are in default, you know how to get yourself out of it, because the home buying process or education piece includes that as well. So it's like before, during, and after. So you'll get the full picture. And And this class is given by a realtor and a lender. And they all work with El Centro, and they've worked for many years. And they're also sponsored by, they're also taking education through the Finance Commission on giving these courses. So that is your first step, education. Second step would be fixing those finances. What does my credit look like? How much do I have saved down for my down payment? If the option, because there's down payment assistance that can help, and so you're only required to give 3% down is the lowest, 3.5 is the next, and then so on and so forth. Most conventional loans, we'll just say some conventional loans may require, if you don't want what we call mortgage insurance, then you'll give your 20% down of the cost of the home.
But that's also to add on that, though, I would say oftentimes if you see the housing prices, you're like, well, there's no way I can afford 20% of this home. And I think sometimes there's certain things that scare people off, but especially as a first-time home buyer, I'm a home buyer myself, a homeowner myself, and I've definitely learned a lot too in the housing industry in my job. But I would say there's a lot of things that people don't know about. And so, right, you mentioned that there is the 20%, but there's different ways you can go about things. And as a first-time home buyer, you can definitely get to certain, you have certain advantages and certain things that work for you to be able to get there. So.
Yeah, for sure. So, not saying that 20%, you'll have to give 20%. I'm saying that that is an option. The other option is giving only 3% down, which is the lowest down that you can give. If you're a veteran, then hallelujah. I mean, you get a zero. There's options for 0% down. You just have to qualify. That credit report is so important, and it's a large part of your application process, which would be making sure you know what credit score primarily lenders would want to see. I would say a 720 or in the 700 range. That's where you want to be. Why? It'll save you money over your 30-year loan because your interest, yes. Unless you're making a lot of money and you want to do a 15-year, then yes, there's an option for 15 years. And then you can also pay cash out. I mean, if you, by all means, save yourself even more money.
So you think if I have a lot of money, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a house, and I looked at Texas, right? And then I just buy it for cash. Mm-hmm. You think that's better?
Depends on what your financial goal is, because everybody has different financial goals. Okay, so depending on what your financial goal is, it may be that is the right way to go. But now, if your financial goal is something different, then I say hold on and do your payments. But you first have to know what your financial goals are and what your benefits will be compared to the cons, because there's pros and cons to everything. Well, think about it this way: buy a home, rent it out, and have the house pay itself, and then you can do another, and then you can build. Yeah, for sure. That is if that is an option for you, definitely dig into it. Yes, I've seen people that have multiple homes and have those homes pay themselves, and then their equity, and they want to sell or retire, they have
all the money. I can sell all the homes and be like, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then a lot of people that do that will, because living expenses here in Washington State are quite elevated. So just on your retirement might not be enough. But if you have that, your home, you have a lot of money there, because homes tend to appreciate, not depreciate. So, depending on that timing, you can get good bang for your buck, meaning you get all that return income for you. And then go elsewhere.
I to myself, I'm never gonna stay broke, even if whatever happens with my job, God forbid. But I never want to go broke. You know what I mean? If anything happens, doesn't work out, whatever, I know it's gonna work out for sure.
I was gonna add something to what Janet just said. I would say, something that I learned too when I was buying a home. There is one thing I would add as far as like renting out, and that is depending though, like when you purchase the home, right? There can be requirements for how long you need to live in the home before you can even rent it out. So like it needs to, like, for example, I believe when I was buying, I found out, oh wait, at least a year that needs to be your primary residence. And so there is a lot of things that I think needs to be learned about, as far as, because I think in your case, if you were to do that and not live in it, that's going to be more of an investment property. So I think you'd have to get more feedback into like investment property too.
That's where the home buying education comes into play, because you'll learn more about those programs that have requirements that it has to be your primary residence. So home buying education is key, especially knowing what your goal is at the end of the day, because you can align, your loan to align to what your goals are. Because why would you want to get into something and spend all this money and then have to refinance and spend more money and then to make it fit? Yeah. So that's why I say education is key to making that, decision, because it's one of the biggest decisions that you'll make in your life, and it's the biggest investment. So,
is building a home bad? Like if you build out like your own house?
No.
Is that bad? Like your dream house?
No. Why would it be?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
If you think about it, you're going to be able to kind of make your own, like how you want it. Here too, what I feel like in this area, it's a big complaint is that you're spending a lot of money on a house if you're staying especially in the city, and it could be that you're still needing to put so much more in remodeling, because you can compare Texas housing with Seattle housing, for example. Look at the price of a home in Texas and how that looks and how it looks in Seattle.
In Seattle, it looks like a 1 bedroom when you can get like a 4 or 3 bedroom in Texas. So you get more bang for your buck if you go elsewhere. But you also got to look at the job opportunities, and if your job it allows for you to, be far away, then take advantage of that. But some jobs don't allow us to move. But then again, where we live, it doesn't allow us to live in the place we work. For example, myself, I am forced to live outside of the county in order to afford it, but I work in King County. So there are things that they're doing around that to make it affordable for people that are in social services, that are doing the work and being able to stay within their community. Because it's very unfortunate that we find nowadays that you have to travel an hour to get to work. But because of the housing market, you can't afford it with the pay that you have. So there's a lot of that too. But I mean, if you can afford it, home prices will always go up unless there's like a pandemic. Then they didn't really, it wasn't the best time to sell. But
it's a good time to buy.
Good time to buy, not time good time to sell. So always check your housing market, if it's a buyer's market or if it's a seller's market, and take, obviously with the help of professionals, your realtor and your lender, and what is the best thing for you.
So I have to hire those people?
No. If anybody asks you for commission up front, run. That's a big red flag. No. Nobody should ever ask you up front. They will get paid through that closing costs, through the transaction. So you will never have to pay them. The only thing that you may pay during the home buying process is for that home inspection. So it's where the home inspector comes and checks everything in the home. And it gives you an evaluation of the home, not how much it's worth.
Free. I was like, oh yeah, he's. I thought it was free. I was like, I don't got to pay for nothing.
No.
Well, they'll still get percentages at the end. of the process.
100%.
Because they're not going to work for free,
So yeah. So there'll be a fee, and that's in the closing costs. But you will never see, you never physically will give them the money.
Yeah.
Oh.
It will go through that transaction. So if anybody asks you for money up front, it'd be like, you gotta pay me for this service. No.
Move away. No, it's fine.
You can report it.
Yeah.
For sure, because that is illegal.
Dang, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yep, for sure. They will get paid at their time, but it's never up front. Things that you will pay for during the home buying process, like I said, is the home inspection, and then earnest money that you will have to put down saying that you are a serious home buyer for that property. Yeah, you have like 14. You have like 14 days to say like, oh no. That's where the home inspection comes in, because you can use that and leverage that to your benefit. You can renegotiate price. That will be your realtor will have to renegotiate price for you.
Okay.
And either you can back out of that completely. So you'll get your earnest money back.
Well, I think I'm just gonna let somebody else just buy my house, and I'm like, you know what? Here's my money. Go find me a home, and I don't want to do anything. Just tell me where to sign, and I'm done.
Si Se Puede Academy is a youth education and empowerment program offered by El Centro de la Raza, a community organization. Si Se Puede Academy aims to support and inspire young people to achieve academic success, develop leadership skills, and become positive contributors to their communities, focusing on promoting cultural pride and fostering a sense of community among its participants. The program provides a range of educational services and activities designed to empower students and promote their personal academic growth. For the most up-to-date information on the program, I recommend visiting El Centro de la Raza's official website or following us on Instagram, ECDLR_Si Se Puede Academy. Once again, ECDLR_Si Se Puede Academy. I'm kind of curious, like, how do you motivate, those people who are maybe that anxiety gets too much? Because it does get too much. Like, there was moments of like, what am I doing? This is such a big adult thing that I didn't know all these fees, and I didn't know all these things until they were just coming at me. I'm like, what is going on?
Sure.
But definitely I didn't feel like, you call your parents and you're like, well, how did you do it? But like, how did you get through it? But
yeah, I will let Denisa share, since she went through the home buying process, and then I can.
Personally, I would say that it really comes down to a lot of like, where do you see yourself? Like, if you feel like, okay, I really always have wanted a home, and it's in the back of your mind, or like you just know it for a fact that it's something that you want, and you're paying rent, right? Then it's basically realizing, okay, the money that I put into rent are not going to be an investment at all whatsoever, but the money that I will put in the home will be an investment, right? So you're going to build equity, and with time, that value and everything is going to go up. And if you're not like thinking to, I'm doing this for 1 year or 2, if you think as long term, then that will be like, okay, this is making sense for me to do it. And for someone, let's say if there's a family, they're renting, they want to have kids, they want to have a family, and there's a lot of pros to like actually owning a home, right? You have a lot more freedom in what do you do with your place. And so I think it's really seeing like, okay, I'm putting money into a rent, I'm not getting anything out of it. If I do buy, I will be building something, and I'll be making an investment. And yeah, especially for someone that like sees themselves in like, let's say in a particular place, I want to live here for the next 5, 10, 15 years, then it really does make sense that you look at that option and compare it and just kind of see how it looks. Because with time, like I said, the time passes, if you don't make an investment in anything, there's nothing going to be there that you can look back at. But if you do, then you'll be able to like kind of build something for yourself. Yep.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Good. This is all good advice. What I needed.
Yes. Also, another thing, if you're getting really discouraged or don't know where to turn, that's why us housing counselors are here. You can start your process with us, and then we can help connect you with the realtor, with that lender. And another thing to know is that if you have any questions or you don't know what you're signing, your lender and your realtor have the obligation to explain all those forms. And it's okay to ask questions. I'd rather you ask those questions and get an answer than be like, I don't know what I just signed. Because you got to be very careful, because the person who's responsible is the person signing, not the person that's selling you the house, nor that giving you the loan. So it's our responsibility to know what we're signing up against and knowing what will change. Because a lot of people that are homeowners now are like, well, they said my mortgage payment wouldn't go up, but it increased this year. It's like, wait, you forgot that your property taxes are in there, and property taxes will always, well, there's tends to be that they go up. So therefore your mortgage payment will go up. It's not because your mortgage payment did go up, like your principal nor your interest, but it's the property taxes that are making that your mortgage payment go up. So just be mindful of that. If you get discouraged, just take your family and your upbringing as an example of where you may not want to be, or use that as like, they did it, why can't I? And be like, this is an investment. This is for not just for me, but it can be a legacy for my family, for if you have children, for your kids. It's a really proud moment, especially if it's safe to say most of us that come from immigrant families. That is like our American dream, right? Like to own a home. Like, okay, maybe our parents couldn't get there, but I'm gonna make that dream or that step for my, make my parents proud, but also myself proud, because it's a huge step. Like I said, it's one of your biggest investments that you'll make in your life.
Yeah, I think that's where I go back on my mindset, because my mom was like, you need to go find a house for yourself. I was like, all right, I'm making this much, money next year. Yeah. I was like, I'm just gonna start looking here, and we went to Texas. It was super beautiful. I was like, wow.
I see those videos, and I'm like, I should go to Texas.
Yeah,
that's what I told my husband. I was like, we should just move to Texas.
And when I was there, I was like, do I see myself in here, or do I see myself for like a day?
Right.
Get out of here, and that's for myself. What am I gonna do here? Just run around,
Gotta find 8 roommates.
Yeah. So like,
hey, family, you want to move in with me? I got plenty of space.
Yeah. So I was like, should I just go 1 bedroom, or what should I do?
What is sustainable long term?
Right.
Think about that.
But you gotta see who's gonna be with you. Are you gonna be by yourself?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because a big house, you get lonely really fast.
Exactly.
That's what he told me. I was like, I think I'll be fine. He's like, no, you say that now, but
wait,
those 2 weeks, you're gonna be by yourself. You're like, give me the.
Well, there's also thinking now of like you're in charge of the maintenance after, and I'm like, those are some things like randomly I miss about renting. I'm like, oh, now I have to pay for X, Y, and Z.
Everything breaks like in our house.
That's why home
education
is key.
All the snacks, everything inside the house. I heard, they give me
outside the house.
I gotta go. At least I got a pool.
Yeah.
At least I got a pool.
You gotta maintain. You have to maintain.
You gotta maintain that.
Make sure the water doesn't turn green.
Right, exactly.
For us, for example, there's like, we have the house and it's surrounded by trees, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. Luckily, I'm not the one doing the work, but you have to think about who's gonna do the work.
Yeah, so that's where my mind goes back. I'm like, am I willing to do a lot of work? Because if I'm going to be in and out of my house, gotta go to work, and then I come back maybe once blue moon, is going to be worth it by? He's like, well, I think it is, because it's going to go up. Never know the person who lives here. So the house is nice, so yeah, that's what I've been looking at a lot. I've been going back and forth to go check it out. I'm actually going to go check it out Thanksgiving again, because it's for sale. It's a big house.
How long has it been on for sale? You can negotiate the price if it's
I
been
think
there
it's
for
been
more
like
than a
almost
month.
I think like 4 months, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
And are you looking? I'm sorry. I was gonna say, are you looking at multiple? That's one other factor that I think is really important when you buy a house. Is you should compare with other houses, because you're going to get to see a lot.
I did check other houses. That is the cheapest, biggest house on the market in Texas. That's what my manager got. I was like, okay. I mean, yeah, I could afford it, but I'm still gonna go back to being broke. That's what I was telling myself. Like, my contracts are not gonna be there. Imagine I get fired or anything. I'm like, this could be a good buy, but I'd rather just stab for money first, and then work around buying other houses, buying like a lot of properties, and then just reselling them, Airbnb them. Like get money.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good income that can come from an Airbnb.
Yeah, that's what.
Especially if your house is nice, a good location.
Good location, exactly.
Location is key. So
Location.
think about that.
First three rules of real estate.
Yeah.
Location, location, location.
Location, location, location.
Food
And also
matters.
what happens around that area that
Yes.
is near and what people you want to attract to your home. Especially if you're looking into Airbnb.
Yeah, and then I was looking at houses in San Diego. San Diego kind of surprised me too. They're really beautiful. There's one that had, oh my god, and that was the dream house I wanted. It had like flowers. It looked like a castle. I was like, oh my god, if I could get it right now, sign me up.
So when are you having a warming house party?
I hope-
We'll come.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping December. That's my 2024 December. I'm hoping for that.
Nice.
Everybody can
That's
come.
a good.
Yeah.
That's a good goal.
But I do think it's good to keep in mind, right? And like you said, you want to just see, does it make sense for me to buy one with like, I don't know how many rooms and go super fancy and then be like, wait, in 5 years, am I wanting this? Am I able to maintain this in the next 2-3 years? I do think it's important to think of like how, okay, I can afford it right now, but thinking too of the possibility of like things may happen down the road. That's why there's foreclosure. That's why there's things and people go through these processes. So I do think it is important to kind of think of a long term, of course, like the being sustainable and trying to make it so that it's affordable long term.
And is there like maintenance assistance? I know like the couple of months ago, like Elsa and I were chatting about the having to pay for like maintenance now, and one of the big ones was the roof, and realizing that it's like $20,000 can
Yes.
be like on average. So then I was curious, for other homeowners out there, those big expenses that come out of nowhere by emergency, are there programs out there? Are there things to help, or is that something you have to do like personal loans?
There's no grants for roof or anything like that. There are loans specifically for like home improvements. There's also Energy Spark. It's a loan if you're going to be a first time home buyer. But there's also programs out there for homeowners that are already in the home but want to make the home more energy efficient. So there's we actually here at Centro, there's a new program that came out, and Ivan may answer those questions, as in like how you qualify for that program. It's for homeowners, but
There's an
maybe-
invitation out there, Yvonne. This is it.
This is the invitation, Ivan. We're inviting you to the podcast to give more information on your weatherization program. So it's like homes going from gas heating to electric heating, and like maybe switching out your windows and doing other energy efficient, as in removing from carpet, going to flooring, like, other.
Yeah, you do get, I think, credit.
Yeah.
I think we're currently like remodeling the entire house. So the windows, everything is going to be changed, and it's an older house, so there's going to be basically qualified for like energy efficiency things. And I think you'd get like even on your taxes,
Yep.
you would get
like credits
some
on
credits
there.
because
Yeah.
of that.
So it's definitely something to look into, especially if you're a home buyer.
I need to switch out my window panels. Yeah,
You
window
need those,
panes. Yeah.
Yes. There's definitely programs out there that may help with those changes. And like you said, if somebody needs to change their roof and they don't have 20 grand, saved up, then there are loans out there for those homeowners that may need to, change the roof. But it's something that comes with the home buyer education again. Here we go. It's like, how do I prepare for those seasonal maintenance, those yearly maintenance, and those long-term maintenance? Which roof? They say once every 10 years, you're going to need to replace your roof. And that's a big expense, depending on how large your home is. If you're thinking about I don't know how many square feet, but you got to think about maintenance on your roof. Like, we don't think about those things, but it's something that we always have to save up.
Yeah, which is, I think, not lucky for me, but like a year prior to purchasing the home, I realized that was a kind of a question to ask. And so when we were talking about home ownership, it's kind of, ask about like how old the roof is. Because it's something you could not have like either immediate expense because the roof is old, or something you don't have to worry about for another 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, huh.
That is definitely something that we looked at too, I remember. And that goes back to kind of tie into the inspection, where you're going to find out good things, because if there's something that's damaged in the house, or if there's something that you know that you immediately need to put money into, then that's going to be an added cost of who knows how much.
It's where you can negotiate the price.
Yeah.
You can put this down right now.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of holes.
Yeah. And that was the scary part of like, I'm going through this process, and what if I find something out in the next month? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
That's why part of the home buying education, we iterate a lot the home inspection, because that's a lot where you can save yourself a lot of money, or you can save yourself from a big disaster in the near future, meaning a year or 2 years down the road. Knowing if the home is older, what type of piping, PVC, or is it, what was the piping? It's the, anyway, if it's not PVC, then you're going to probably have to, change plumbing. Electricity, is the panel up to date, up to code? I'm going to have to change that. So there's a lot of things that go into the home inspection, and you can be there with the home inspector and just be at the end and see if they saw any major things that you may want to consider.
And I would add for that, that's where I think it's important also, what realtor are you having? Are they having your best interest, or are they looking out for just you making a purchase? So I think it's really going to be super important to make sure they have your best interest, what you want, and looking out for your things and not just like what's good for them. I previously, like before we even settled on one realtor, for example, we had first like got feedback and saw a home with someone else, and there's going to be realtors, let's say in the pandemic there was so much competition, and in order for people to get a home, let's say the person selling the house may prefer to choose the person that doesn't choose to go ahead with an inspection, because it's going to be their best interest. You're like, okay, they're not going to find anything if they don't go with an inspection. Therefore, it's better for me to accept that offer versus the other one. So there's many things like that. But I know, as Janet mentioned, we always advise clients to go ahead and put the money down, even if it costs a couple $100 to do inspections, because it's a big thing.
That'll save you thousands of dollars down the road.
Thousands, yeah.
Never skip a home inspection. That is.
But yeah, so.
Yes. And the home inspection is only done on the home that you're going to put an offer in. Okay. It's not every home you look at and you like. No. It's the home that you.
Like, I want to go and see it and go check.
Yeah. But like I said, my recommendation would be, interview a few, get recommendations maybe from family and friends that they had a good experience with. But the first person that you really need to interview is your lender, because he's going to be the one giving you the big bucks. 2 years of good work history, meaning there's no gaps in income inflow. 2 years of your taxes that you're going to need. Your credit score is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
And try to avoid major purchases during the home buying process, because that can affect how much you can afford home-wise. So no taking out new cars.
Damn it.
No taking out new credit card debt.
If I would say that right now, I was going to go get a new car.
He's like, I was about to just do that.
Buy like 2 brand new
Yeah,
cars.
we need the new ride and the new driveway.
Yeah, exactly. I need some new rides with it.
Yeah, people don't know that, but like if you think about it, even in our cases where we see clients, I mean, at least from what I've counseled, I've seen so many clients, they may have cars that are like super new, or at least still cost quite a high amount for what their income is. And then it's like, well, how are you going to really, if you're trying to become a homeowner, you're going to have some challenges if you're in that spot where you don't, because you have to afford. There, no lender is going to give you that unless you afford and you qualify for it. They want to make sure that you're going to be able to pay the monthly mortgage amount. Like before, you'd learn about all these predatory tactics and things that have been used, where people were, lenders were just like, well, go ahead and give them to everyone. So they would easily qualify people without really making sure that people can pay it. And that's been like a big problem. So you have to make sure.
And a new car.
Yeah.
Nope. Those are my tips for you, especially that you're thinking about home buying. Make sure if you're going to buy a car and you can buy it outright, because any debt to your name will affect the amount that you will qualify for.
Don't go to dealership. Go to Facebook Marketplace. Buy a car.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not going to show up on your credit report.
Make sure that car can get you from place A to place B,
Yeah.
regardless of its at a status, while you get your dream home. And then you can go buy your dream car.
There you go.
Buy that's kind of like, I feel like it's go ahead, buy the home and then go buy the car.
That's my initial thought. I was thinking about buying the car first.
It reduces basically what you're going to qualify
Because
for.
your home will appreciate and you will get some return, while your car, once you drive it off the lot, it depreciates value.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So-
I didn't know if that was true or not.
It is true. 100%.
I was thinking about getting a GTR, or it was
Pre-owned.
And now we got to look at the 1994 Honda Civic. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, as long as it works.
Gets from point A to point B.
Good gas mileage.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Rolls Royce. I was thinking about getting Rolls Royce. Or Lamborghini.
Oh, those are nice. Those are nice. But those would come after the home.
Yeah, for sure. No. After my big purchase, I'm like, but Lamborghini real quick.
As we're getting close to wrapping up, if there's any last advice or any last final questions.
Just want to say thank you guys for coming for the podcast. Really appreciate it, me and Professor. Really good advice. See, by next year, get a home, send you guys a picture and be like, got it.
Got it. Awesome.
For you guys,
Yeah, for sure. One last thing that I do want to add is make sure that your debt to income ratio is no more than 46% if you're looking into one of the commission-based programs. What that means is make sure all your debt that you have, it's no greater than 46% of your gross income.
Okay.
And I think what I would add is really just making sure that it aligns with like what you want and it makes sense. Like what location are you choosing? And I think it really just has to be a calculated decision though, because at the end of the day, it's still a major decision. So
Yeah, it is.
it requires a lot. I
Priorities.
can tell my experience. I was like, oh my God, it hurts every time this payment for the mortgage goes through. So it's, so yeah.
Another thing it would be to add to Denisa, what she's saying is make a list of your priorities. What are your priorities in a home? Distance to family. Garage, no garage, like things that are important to you.
Okay.
Make sure you have those on a list on priority level. Like this is my number one priority. Like, but then this is like my 10th priority. Like it's okay if I don't have that, but
Right.
it would be
yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for you, it seems also like you're still kind of looking at if it's just for you, if it's also some investment. So I think
it depends on where I take it.
so just make sure it's more of like what your goal is versus someone else's.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to design it with my heart.
Exactly.
It's gonna look like a kid's house. You're gonna see my house. It's gonna look like some little kid lives in there, but it's gonna be me.
Hey.
It's the best thing I want. Like
Yeah.
art. I want to have a lot because I'm an artist. I want to have a lot of art. Like a lot of like video game, old school like arcades, a movie theater room.
Are you into like the old comics?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comics. I want to have koi fish because I love fish. Koi fish, and I want to have peacocks. I always want to have a peacock
Those are so
or a kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
I
I
do
don't know
wanna buy a
about kangaroo. But
I
I
do
know
want to buy.
Martha Stewart has peacocks, so if you want one, go to her.
Yeah, I do want to have a lot of peacocks. Yeah.
That would be beautiful. Yeah. If you could share one last time your names and the name of your program, for anyone out there looking for any financial housing assistance.
So Denisa and Janet, I'm a housing counselor in El Centro, Raza, and we work within the financial empowerment.
I'm Janet Torres Garcia. I'm the Financial Empowerment Coordinator with the Financial Empowerment Program, also a housing counselor. So if you need any assistance, come our way. We will be happy to assist anybody with any questions.
And for any other programs, you could visit elcentrodelaraza.org and look at any other programs or look up the information for Denisa and Janet. And here we have Freddie, Hollywood,
Yes.
Hi, guys.
and El Profe Nito, thanking you all for listening to this podcast of Molcajete Flowers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Si Se Puede Academy is a youth education and empowerment program offered by El Centro de la Raza, a community organization. Si Se Puede Academy aims to support and inspire young people to achieve academic success, develop leadership skills, and become positive contributors to their communities, focusing on promoting cultural pride and fostering a sense of community among its participants. The program provides a range of educational services and activities designed to empower students and promote their personal academic growth. For the most up-to-date information on the program, I recommend visiting El Centro de la Raza's official website or following us on Instagram, ECDLR_Si Se Puede Academy. Once again, ECDLR_Si Se Puede Academy.